All right.
I'm good, man. About yourself?
Good, man. Good. I'm glad I can get you on here again, man. And or first time I say again because we did ours, but glad I could get you on here, man, and chop it up a bit.
For sure, man. It's an honor.
For
I've been
sure.
waiting for the call, man. So
Hey, yes,
I'm
sir.
glad we're here.
Well, yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, bro. Hey, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'll say the intro, and then I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself, bro. All right.
Sure
All
thing.
right. Hey, so what the business is, you already know who it is. It's your boy coming through with a little bit more of that Flutter culture. And today, whatever time zone you're in, I know it's kind of early for my partner over here, but it's roughly around about 4:32 p.m. Eastern time. But I'm glad I could get him on here. We got some pretty good back and forth conversation going on today. Got some pretty good topics. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let my guest introduce himself, bro. So, hey, appreciate you again. Like I stated, we got a long history, man. I've been knowing you for a while, bro, and hey, but it's always good to catch up, man. You always have some nugget of knowledge for me, bro. So had to get you on here so you could share some of that knowledge with some of the younger soldiers and for the audience as well, bro. Just anybody who's listening or anybody who's going to see this whenever we put it on different platforms, man. I hope you get something out of it. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and start. Hey, man. So how's life, bro? I'm gonna throw this curveball in there at you. I know this was one of the topics, but how's life for you though, bro?
Hey, man. Firstly, that's a mentality, right? And life is good. Life is amazing. I think we get so used to, or at least people I know and I hear and I observe, right? People
Mm-hmm.
are really quick to kind of like downplay the greatness that's happening in their lives. Um,
Hmm.
I can't, man. I got to share with you, man. Things are going well. I got a
Yeah.
job, right? I got
Oh
my
yeah. Oh
family
yeah.
with me.
Yes,
I
sir.
have aspirations. I have things that I'm shooting for. I got a roof over my head. I got food on the plate, man. Like I got my health. Things are. What can I ask for more? You know what I mean?
Man, nothing more, bro. Hey, look, those are the simple blessings that God give us, bro. So we gotta enjoy them and be fruitful, bro, and just enjoy life as the best that we can. Is I like to say, man. We all have our trials and tribulations, man. But you're breathing, you got health,
Hmm.
doing your thing, man. Hey, look, can't complain about nothing, man. You woke up this morning, so I do agree, bro. You got your family, you got everything going on, so um, good business for real, brother.
Yeah,
Definitely,
man.
definitely.
I like to say, man, 10 toes down, 6 feet above ground. I ain't got nothing to complain about, man. But how's life for you?
Yes, sir. Hey, man, everything's good, man. Everything's good. A new location, relocated or whatever, man. Up here living, man. Just trying to get settled, established in the new career.
Into the holiday and look into why it exists, and you might just learn something, right? And it may be something that you take with you, and you know, maybe apply and learn and teach others about. So
Definitely,
just
definitely, bro.
acknowledge that it exists.
Yes, sir. Definitely got to acknowledge that, man, and just understand that it is freedom. Do we'll go ahead and get started with topic number one, man. So, uh, what are your thoughts on effective leadership, bro? Like,
Mm.
how do you feel personally about being an effective leader?
Yeah, great question. I think the bird's eye view, right? Taking a step back is,
Mhm,
effective leadership looks different to different people because it's not just
mhm,
about the person, in that position or providing that
mhm.
leadership. It's also on the receiver, right?
Right,
Because somebody could walk in, give direction, and we interpret it two different ways. You know what I mean?
right,
So, that broad answer, but on a very specific, my beliefs. Effective leadership really starts with listening.
hmm,
It starts with communicating, but I think listening is huge. Empathy, right? Taking others' challenges, aspirations, goals, and thinking of them as your own and saying, how could I best support this person? And being thoughtful, right?
right,
And being intuitive, um, but also being clear. And I think that that is it's a very delicate balance of things. And
hmm,
we definitely have strengths, we have weaknesses, but also being self-aware enough and open to working on those things to be more effective, right? It's not just I showed up, I'm effective. The end. It's I'm ever working towards something to be better and just help in the role that I've been blessed to have.
Definitely, definitely. I definitely agree, bro. Like you said, showing up, man. Giving clear and concise guidance, man. Because obviously, as soldiers or as people, bro, like we might hear something come in one ear, and then once it leaves our mouth, it's totally different than what we heard because we put our own
Hmm.
spin on it. Or if we don't fully interpret what somebody is saying, it's very easy to get out there and like switch up something that somebody actually said, bro. So making sure that the people around you, the people that you're talking to, or the people that you're training, or whatever environment that you're in, fully understand what you're talking about. Make sure that they
Yeah,
comprehend, and then being able to get out there and execute what you're saying. And then if you know that they're not going to be able to execute, you still be there with them and coach them and guide them along the way, bro. So to
yeah.
be an effective leader,
Most junior person is doing, right? But
Mhm.
I'm setting a culture through my junior leaders of what the expectation is because they're seeing me more often as I'm seeing them, right? And so that
Right.
that trickle effect happens, but you can't get any of that if we're not present and we're not engaged and we're not making the interjections where we see something isn't rocking the way we want it to rock.
Definitely, definitely, man. I feel like conversation kind of sparks. One person says something, and
Um,
Mhm.
I'm really a believer in So once I
Okay.
became a staff sergeant and a drill sergeant, I was kind of like, what do I do next? Right. And so
Right,
that's
right,
when
right,
things
right, right.
get kind of weird and you have to, I had to really
Yeah.
like take a step and say, where's that next waypoint? Right. But I think really the biggest point I'd like to say is when it comes to goal setting is I don't make a lot.
Mhm.
I make one and I orient towards that and do whatever I need to do along the way to achieve that one thing.
Okay. I got you. I got you, bro. And you spark something, bro. Like you say when you set one goal, you usually stick to that goal. And I'm gonna say like why that sparks something to me is because what a lot of people face is they set a whole bunch of different goals and they're all over the place. They
Mm-hmm.
ain't focused on accomplishing something that's their 25-meter target.
Mm-hmm.
They're focusing on 25, 50, 75, 100, and then throughout the whole course of focusing all that, they miss the goals or the steps that it takes to get to the 75 because they're so
Mm-hmm.
focused on the 100, and then they forget all about the 25, and
Mm-hmm.
then not even worrying about the 50 because they're so focused on the 75, bro. So yes, like once you put too much on your plate, um you start getting scatterbrained and everything
Mm-hmm.
is everywhere. So I do agree with you, man. Focus on things that you can like that you're able to focus on now. Because especially like if it's a long-term goal and it's gonna take you a minute to get there, yes, still do things to get you there, but at the same time, focus on something that you're trying to get like sooner. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we put all our eggs in one basket trying to get everything, but then throughout the course of trying to get everything, we forget the things that actually matter, the things that we need now.
Mm-hmm. I think having them written down, sometimes I'll look at this list and I'm like, bruh, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
what
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tend to do is I'll find like that real quick one, right? That 25-meter, and I'll just bang it out. Okay, boom, and I'll get that momentum, right? I'll start building that momentum towards whatever that long-term goal is by
Hmm.
doing the short-term goals and getting that confidence and being able to say, okay, I knocked out A, B, and C, even though Z's way down the way. That's cool, but that's not a today problem or a today
Right.
challenge. I can still knock out D, E, and F in the next 3 to 6 months. You know,
Gotcha.
and then check in with myself, or check in with my goals. And my
Hmm.
kids do it too. Those are skills that I teach my children. So for instance, my son, we're all doing, well, me and both of my sons are doing a competition on Saturday, right, for jujitsu. Um,
Hmm.
and earlier in the year, we wrote down our goals, right, on a vision board, which is another tool that we use. But a vision board. Are you familiar with vision boards?
Not too much, but go ahead and explain it a little deeper, bro.
Yeah, so a vision board is basically like, it could be a cardboard, cutout, it could
Hmm.
be a poster board, whatever, and you take pictures, magazines, drawings, whatever the case may be, for the things that
Hmm.
you want, right? And
Okay.
for those
All right.
things that you're working for in that year or that time frame, you have them posted where you can see them and you're checking in with them. And one of those things that he wrote down was 6 gold medals, right? So
Mm-hmm.
6 gold medals from competition. And so, we're in June. We did that in December. And so I said, hey, we're doing this competition. Let's go. And he's like, cool. And I'm like, are you doing gi and no gi? And he's like, no, I'm just gonna do gi. And I'm like, hey man, you've got one gold medal for the year, right? But your goal was to get 6. I'm like, if you're not doing no gi, then you're removing an opportunity for you to meet your goals. And he's like, you know what? I'll do no gi too. And so he's doing no gi, I'm doing no gi, we're both doing gi. So that gives us another 2 opportunities to knock out 2 more goals, right? Or
Okay.
yeah, knock out 2 more goals for the year, right? And so that again, that vision board piece is huge too. And we teach our kids, hey, this is how you set it up, and this is how you keep in mind what you're doing, right? Put them where you can see
Okay.
them, and check in with them. And if I know about it, I'm going to ask you about it, right? That accountability
Right.
piece again. So that's how we use vision boards in the house and how we keep track of our goals.
Okay. Definitely. Definitely, bro. Hey, so for the people that may not know what gi and no gi is, could you
Mhm.
explain it to them, brother?
Yeah, for sure. So in jujitsu, we have there's 2 different um, styles, I guess you would say, of competition, and you
Okay.
have gi, and gi is like with the kimono. Um, I think that's the right name for it. But you have the top and the bottom, whatnot. They're pretty uniform. And then you
Okay.
have, and so you can get grips and you can grab on, and different attacks with the parts of the uniform. And then you have
Mhm.
no gi, which is kind of like shorts and a shirt, and you
Okay.
can't grab any of the material, right? And so it's a little bit more like wrestling, but with different submissions. Whereas the gi is you're going out there, you're using the clothes, you can choke with the belt, violence of action all day.
I got you. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate
Sure.
it. All right. Okay. So topic number three, bro.
Mhm.
Speak about a time when you had to face adversity and how did you overcome it,
Oh man. So
man? Yeah.
yeah. So it's like it's funny, right? Because these questions are coming, but you still got to answer them.
You still got that?
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so the most recent time, it kind of locks in with the topic about goal setting.
Okay.
Um, so again, I was, I talk about this lightly, but in recruiting, right? That was a very adverse time for me, but mainly because of how I mentally approached it, right? Like I told you at the beginning, right? How you're doing is a mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my mentality in recruiting wasn't as I think open and resilient um, as I typically am for whatever reason. And so
Okay.
I really just I didn't quite fit in. I didn't quite conform, and it just wasn't a great fit for me being in the organization, right? And so that became really difficult over time, especially when in my mind I'm doing the right thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm adhering to the regulations. I'm following the rules. I'm upholding the standard. I'm all those good things, but I wasn't necessarily excelling at recruiting, right? And in recruiting, it's about recruiting. All those other things
Yeah.
matter, right? But the end state is that you're putting people in the army. Um,
Okay.
and I couldn't like really like I couldn't just accept that and feel that and deal with that very well. And so, it was just a really rough time. But I kept thinking like, how do I become successful in this? How do I, create this environment where I'm comfortable and I'm winning and the people around me are winning and, we're not, um, hating what we're doing. Um, and I just kept fighting it, man. I just kept going in and every day trying something new, right? Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
piece is just trying something new. This didn't work, try something new. That didn't work, try something different. Maybe go back to this, whatever. And it got to the point where I exhausted all options.
Okay.
And once I felt like all options were exhausted, that goal wasn't going to be achieved, I had to switch goals. I had to like, I had to say, hey, I got to abandon this. And I think that's okay sometimes. Um,
Yeah.
and I kept asking myself, like, when is the right time to give up? Because as a man, as a soldier, as just somebody who's out here trying to win, and hold it down for the family, it's hard to say like this is the time for me to give up, right? Because I will never quit, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. 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 Got the
so I had a
warrior
real,
ethos.
you know what I mean, and I had a
Gotcha. Yeah.
um, real conflict, and then at
Okay.
some point it became clear to me that like there's a difference between giving up and redirecting. And we
Mm-hmm.
could call it justification or we can call it giving up, like whatever you want to call it. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to change what I was looking at. I had to change my approach. And once I changed my approach, my mental focus, man, the doors start opening up. Um, and so like there's a certain beauty to continuing to push, and then recognizing I'm actually harming myself at this point. And she was always like, when I used to get heated, when I used to like be like, yo, what's going on with you? And he's like, yeah, well, it's gonna be hard to find you a job. Do you have any specialties? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a drill sergeant. I'm instructor. He's like, oh, you're instructor. I'm like, yeah, I am an instructor. I was like, you know what? I'll go instruct.
Mm-hmm.
And it started rolling, man. I'm like, oh, you know what? Next thing I know, my former commander, when I was became a drill sergeant, 7 years prior,
Hmm.
was the IG OIC in Washington.
Okay.
One of the dudes I deployed with back in 2010 had just transferred over there, and he was like, "Yeah, let's go." You know what I mean? And like everything
There
was
you go.
rolling, man. And I say all of that to say, sometimes we deal with adversity, and it's meant for us to see how much we want something, right? And if we're gonna push through. But then other times we're dealing with adversity as a way for the universe, God, whatever you believe in, to say this isn't for you. And once I redirected what was for me and what wasn't, brother, it just opened up, man. A job came through that was like a dream job. That is a dream job for me. It came through. I got through that. I got an email from the 108th Training Command who manages all the reserve drill sergeants, and it was like, "Hey, do you want to be a
Mm-hmm.
DSL?" And I'm like, "Nah, man, been there, done that." And they're like, "Well, we have a first sergeant position in a unit in Fresno," and I was like, "I know exactly where that's from. That's where I'll be at. Let's go." You know what I mean? Like everything just started aligning. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think when it comes to adversity, you know what I mean, recognizing does the outcome still align with you as you're pushing through,
Mm-hmm.
um, is one of those things that I really learned from that period. So I learned a lot. I appreciate that period of time, and I'm grateful for it, even though it didn't feel good going through it. You know what I mean?
Right, definitely, definitely. I agree with you, bro. Adversity is gonna come, man. Adversity is gonna pop up at sometimes we may think it's the worst timing on the world, but sometimes it's the perfect time because that adversity is showing you something that you need to move to. So I
Hmm.
really appreciate you sharing that story, man. It's gonna pop up to where you're gonna have to reevaluate and question whether this is right or should I move a different way. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate you sharing that, man.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Well,
definitely.
and they're supposed to pop up, right? It's supposed to hurt
Hmm.
sometimes. It's supposed to be
Hmm.
uncomfortable. And I'll tell you one of the things that um, really helped me through that period of uncertainty was Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. It's a
Okay.
book. It's basically talks about how when you go for when you're aligned, when your actions are aligned, I'm telling you, man, alignment is huge. But also just again having a strong network, people you trust, people you care about, a reason to do what you're doing. Those things are massive, man. And then once you set that plan in place, you gotta stay obedient to the plan, man, 100%.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Hey, and I'm gonna touch back on something that you said about the previous topic, man, about goals, man, and you're a person that likes to tell people your goals. I can't say that I tell everybody my trying to go do something is good for you. So sometimes sharing goals is good with the right people because some people could care less about your
100%.
goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you're doing, they can care less about whether you succeed or fail. But when you
Hmm.
have those people,
Give you a trust token. I'm trusting you with something that could hurt me, right? and I'm trusting you to not hurt me, right? And
Right,
so
right,
like
right, right, right.
I met a dude. I was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of weird though, because I'm like, if you can't trust your own hands, why are you? How are you in business with them, right? And that goes
Right.
want to be. I wouldn't want too many people knowing what I'm up to. But that goes back to that trust factor, man. So I think you're absolutely right. Like not everybody gets it.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. All right, bro. Hey, I'm gonna edit this part out, man. But I'm about to switch locations real quick. So like 1 minute, but this will be edited out, so you ain't got to worry about this being there. I
All
got you.
right.
Hold on.
In a previous conversation, like it was just I had this image and this idea of what a leader, an NCO, all these things were, and I tried
Okay.
to be that. And I even alluded to it earlier with like I wanted to be like my drill sergeant. I wanted to be him. There was
Hmm.
a thing I modeled after, especially in the army where I learned how to be a leader, and then I became a dad, right? So like, we often learn through mimicry, right? Mimicry, excuse me. Um, and
Hmm.
so I did a lot of that, right? And oh, as I got older and kind of like recognized where my energy was best spent, I felt like it was much easier for me to react to things in a way that was like, this is how I would really react to it, regardless of this uniform, regardless of this position,
Okay.
regardless of the expectation. And a lot of that, really came down to again being empathetic, right? Asking the questions first rather just than being like, "Hey, you're late." Like, if I'm telling you you're late, you probably know you're late, so that gave you no
Yep.
value. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
hey man, hey,
Right.
is there
Yeah.
a
Yeah. I
reason
got
you're
you. I
late?
got you.
You know what I mean? Like, is there a
Yes,
reason
sir.
you're late? Is everything good? Are you safe? Those are questions I found
Yeah.
myself asking more and more these days. And so, like, I don't know if I'm relatable. I wouldn't know if that's a word that I'd use. Um,
Hmm.
because, like, I mean, generally I am who I am, though. You know what I mean? I'll tell you that I'm
Right.
authentic, though. And, like, if I mentioned it to my soldiers, or not my soldiers, but the soldiers who were in my charge last month, like, I don't care nearly as much if you like me or not, but if you know that I've got your back, right? Like that should
Right.
never be a question, right? Like I've got your back.
Right.
And so and I think over time they recognize, oh, okay, he may have been, XYZ on this thing, but over the course of knowing him, he's made sure that my family was straight. He's made sure that I had the time I needed to do what I needed to do. He supported me XYZ.
Everybody is going to like you. I feel like it's more so like, and if you're a person that's out here reaching for everybody to like you, then you're going to 100% drain yourself every day
Hmm.
because now you're trying to become a people pleaser.
Hmm.
And go toward empathy, showing people respect,
Hmm.
regardless of the job that you have to do, like regardless of the place that you're in, because anybody can be a leader that's sitting on top of the tree looking down at the village, or sitting on top of a mountain
Mm.
looking down at on the village, barking orders, right? But do you care about the people
Right.
that you're barking orders to?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna help them with an issue if they have an issue? Are you
Mm-hmm.
going to take the time out to ask them how their day is, or how their family is?
Mm-hmm.
Show them that that you genuinely care. Uh, because like regardless, we have a job to do, but at the end of the day, do you care about your people that you're working with, or the people that you're quote unquote over because of the positions that we're in? So I feel like understanding that aspect of it, man, will make you like 100% relatable to the people around you. And even if you can't reach everybody, at least people will understand that you're there if
Mm-hmm.
they need you. You care about what they have going on. And even taking it back to what you said, whenever a person's late and you just bark out an order, hey man, you're late. Yes, obviously they already know that they're late,
Mm-hmm.
but getting to the root of the issue of
Mm-hmm.
why they might have been late.
No.
Because because they're late, but you don't know if they got in a car wreck. You don't know if
Mm-hmm.
somebody in their family is in the hospital or a medical
Mm-hmm.
emergency came up until you talk to them and get to the root of the problem before trying to punish them or crucify them for something that all of a sudden came up. So I do agree with you, brother.
Yeah.
Just showing that little bit of empathy and showing the people around you that you care. It actually speaks volumes, bro. Um,
Yeah, man. So
and
I'll. But
go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, man. To your example, like if somebody got into a car accident, or somebody's family, like if there's a extenuating circumstance, and you don't connect that first, we're banking on something else incredibly extenuating happening to be able to rebuild something when all we could have done is just ask the question, taking a few more minutes to say, hey, what is the root cause of this, and can I support you or your family before we get crazy with it?
Definitely, definitely. I agree, brother. I agree. All right, brother. Hey, uh, now we're at that part of the conversation, man, that I'm gonna let you get a little, personal with what you want to share, bro. So with this next topic, for our one of our final topics,
Mhm.
uh, do you have any future personal goals that you don't mind sharing to the people? I mean, because
Yeah.
I don't want you getting on here telling everybody about your money goals and what you got set up and all that, man. But if you don't mind sharing some like some personal future goals that you may have that you're willing to talk about, bro.
Yeah, man. I think number one is not embarrass myself or my gym, my professor. Beyond
Hmm.
that, continuing to create, grow the podcast, and just really put more good content out there, create deep relationships. Um, I have a few more months as a first sergeant, so get as many of the troops promoted and set up for success as possible, and just leave that organization um, better than I found it.
You sharing that, man. Hey, but I already know you're gonna do awesome at this competition, man. I already know you're gonna
Thank
win
you.
something. So I've been seeing, I've been seeing over the last year or so, man. You've been out there putting in the work, man. Like a everyday grind, man. I know it gets tiring, but you're doing a good job, brother. And I just wanted to personally let you know that, man. I
Thank you.
see it. I might not say nothing about it all the time, man, but I see you out there doing it, man, and especially with your youth and everything, man. Getting soldiers promoted and being that beacon of light for them to know that you're attempting to assist them in their career, man, to get them to where they want to be and where a lot of them need to be, bro. So
Right.
uh, kudos. So kudos to you.
Hmm.
Also, I ain't gonna leave you hanging, man. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you a couple of my personal goals, man, because I don't want you to
Yeah,
feel
let's
like you
hear it.
just shared all of that, and then you didn't get that same energy reciprocated, man. But yeah, bro. So do everything that I needed to do, and I kind of did my platoon sergeant time as an E6 also, bro. A lot of that, man. So I take it as a blessing. I take it as a goal that was stretched out a little bit because I thought
Hmm.
that I was going to accomplish it at an earlier time, but it came when it was supposed to. Big God did me a favor. He gave me a lot of opportunity inside of those extra 2 years as an E6 man. So I take nothing from it. I'm not mad or pissed off about having to spend an extra 2 years as an E6, but it was a blessing. And I accomplished a lot within those extra 2 years, man. So
Hmm.
also, I got a lot of schooling, and all of my background history stuff is in cybersecurity. So right now I'm about to finish up my network plus cert and my security plus cert, man, so I can jump a little bit more into the cybersecurity and into this IT world in the civilian sector, bro. So those
Good
are some
stuff.
25-meter goals that I have coming up that I will accomplish here within the next couple of months to add to my resume, bro. So, you know, trying to get that big bag, man. The bag out there
Hey,
waiting on me, bro. I just got to get my final little certification so I can go and obtain the bag. But it's coming within the next couple of months, man. So those are some personal goals that I have. That's just for this year. Now, what's
yeah.
gonna happen next year? We'll talk about that later.
You created something that is really meaningful to you and hopefully anybody who's tuning in or who's been a guest or who will be a guest, man. So thank you for what you're doing, in the military and on your civilian side, your personal side, man. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, sir. Hey, definitely, bro. Definitely, man. And I appreciate you being a guest on the podcast, man, and actually sharing your precious time with me to get up here and talk about these topics and elaborate a little deeper into the things that you have going on in life and some of your personal struggles and some of your personal journey, man. So big ups to you, and I appreciate you, bro. But before I get you off here, man, do you have any closing remarks for the people? Have anything you want to say to some younger soldiers or anybody that may see this? Just give them something, anything that's on your brain, bro.
Yeah, for not even just younger soldiers, right? Just anybody. Find a mentor, right? Find somebody who you trust, who can help you with expertise that they have, who cares about you, right? It's an informal relationship, but a mentor is incredibly powerful in growth development, getting to the bag, whatever you want to call it. Um, Having a mentor and is just huge, and they often become friends, right? So I have a few that I'd like to shout out, right? You have Sergeant Major Perez, Deidre. um,
Yes, sir. Definitely, definitely, brother. Hey, you're hey, I really appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to